Hello, it's the Hobo. Hit the like, subscribe, and the bell, and we'll get on with it.
For today on Sekulow.
Keeping you informed and engaged, now more than ever. This is Sekulow.
You have the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, a military leader, basically ignoring the Constitution, deciding he's going to call a potential adversary and an enemy of the United States and collude with them and tell them, if I'm ever ordered to do something, I'm going to tell you about it first. And also break the chain of command when it comes to the nuclear codes of this country and its control.
We want to hear from you. Share and post your comments or call 1-800-684-3110.
I hope for the sake of our country that this is not true and we'll get a strong denial, because the alternative basically means that we have the person in charge of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is someone who decided that he was more important than the Constitution, more important than the chain of command, that he unilaterally was going to make a determination about colluding with a potential enemy.
And now your host, Jordan Sekulow.
So, what are we talking about here? You may have seen this in the news. You heard Senator Rubio talking about it. It's General Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The report is that, again, this is back during the Trump administration, a time period between before the election day and after the election, and this contact with the head of the People's Liberation Army of the Chinese Communist Party, and these phone calls. So you had them on October 30th and January 8th. What we're saying is that the discussions, this is in the new Woodward book, that's where this has been reported, comes out next week. No denial at this point from Milley that the way this reported is inaccurate or untrue. Maybe that's coming, but it didn't come immediately. It wasn't a situation where there was immediate denial. But there were these conversations between October 30th, so right before the election, after the election, that he would warn the Chinese military leadership if there was any attack coming on China. Now, the question here is then, when you go to the definitions of laws like treason, one of the key definitions in Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution, when you go to that, is you're guilty and suffering treason when you are giving aid and comfort. So he's not levying war against the United States, but what he is doing is potentially giving aid and comfort to an adversary of the United States, letting them know, hey, don't worry about it. We're going to let you know. And now, he didn't say it wouldn't necessarily not happen. That was an interesting point, too.
Yeah.
It was, if this is going to happen, we're going to let you guys know about it. But I still think this is extremely dangerous. If this had happened under any other administration, he'd already be gone.
Yeah. So, yes, of course. So, to reiterate here, General Milley, who, this is what is being reported in the book by the Woodward book that's coming out, and Bob Costas. So, here's what you got. He actually makes this statement. This is a quote. Now, again, we're basing it off of what's in this book. It says, "You and I have known each other now for 5 years." He's talking to the highest-ranking general in the Chinese army. "If we're going to attack, I'm going to call you ahead of time. It's not going to be a surprise." Now, I look at that, Colonel Smith, and I say to myself, not following the chain of command, which we'll get into, dereliction of duty. How is this guy the Joint Chief of Staff chairman?
Exactly. He needs to be forced to resign.
And you knew him.
I knew him. I worked with the man. He would never remember me, of course. He is very much a political animal. A lot of his general colleagues do not respect him because he is so blatantly political. Of course, you don't usually get this kind of job unless you are, to a great extent, political. But he has managed to violate the Constitution, statutory law, the Goldwater-Nichols Act, and the National Defense Act of 1947. He's violated the Constitution, as I said, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and has totally stepped outside of the military chain of command. If anyone else did this wearing the uniform, at the very least, they would be forced out. They could be court-martialed.